Hello, my name is George Green, and today I'm going to talk about a peer review article on Blame It on the Weather, the association with pain and fibromyalgia with relative humidity, temperature, and barometric pressure, and how that behavior modified or how things did were based off of what people felt in their pain management. This was a summary of an article by Fungerlin, Iverson, Eklund, Moen, and Acklison. Why did I pick this article? Well, I have kind of a unique background. Um, I spent years in the medical field working in trauma, surgery, the cath lab, working on hearts, and then also was a high school science teacher where I taught anatomy, physiology, and physical science for 10 years. Then, after I got done teaching, I decided to get into weather forecasting in the Air Force. So I've got this kind of unique kind of look at from different spots of life where I can look at how weather, and then I can look also at um, the medical side, or can go there. Also, with my medical history, I have had multiple surgeries, so I understand how the feeling of pain can be dictated by how I perceive the weather going to be that day. And living in Iowa, I have a real change of seasons. I can go through all four seasons sometimes in a week, but we have significant changes in the weather. We have a definite fall, we have a definite winter, we have a definite summer and the spring. So I get to see that, and I can see how people's perceptions of the weather made them feel like, oh, it's going to be a long day today, it's sore, I'm going to feel it really in my knees. My mom having knee replacements. I've been around them all the time, so I get that understanding. So this was kind of an interesting article to me, as something I wanted to look into. All right, we got pain, behaviors, and perceptions. The common belief was that changes in weather and pain are correlated. Most people feel like that's what was going to be, but then, in all honesty, scientific was finding that there was a mixed review. There are some articles or peer reviews that showed that there was a strong correlation, and there's some that have shown that there was really no correlation. And I think that honestly has to do with the time of year of the study and where the study is at. So the most significant findings involved we're going to work with was temperature, barometric pressure, and relative humidity. Okay, going into fibromyalgia. Most people do know what fibromyalgia, but I wanted to just do a quick little review of fibromyalgia. Is defined as a disorder that affects muscle, soft tissue characterized by chronic muscle pain, tenderness, fatigue, and sleep disturbances. It's very common in the United States. Around 3 million cases are new cases are come out every year. Treatments are managed. The only way you can do it is just manage the pain. There's no cure. Most of it is just figuring out what causes your pains, and then manage it that way. And then most common in ages 35 to 60. One thing about fibromyalgia that, having been in the medical field, is there, even within the medical field, some people believe that fibromyalgia is kind of like is not it is more in the person's head. Is it more of a behavioral? Is it really that perception? Because pain as a whole is that person's perception. It's not that there's a, oh yeah, if I feel this much, it says 3 on a 1 to 10 scale, or this is a 5. And so it's all received on the person. Some people have been get to the point like where I've had surgery. I had surgery on my hip, and I didn't realize till after I had surgery on my hip that I've been in chronic pain for 20 years while in the military. So it's, I didn't realize it till I had it fixed, and it was like, wow, that's amazing that pain can go away. That I was living with pain for that long. Okay, weather does, what we do know is weather does alter your emotional state. Knowing that you're going to have a big storm that day when you're really wanting to do outside work, you're going to really be bummed. You're going to really be down on that. Or, hey, it's going to be perfect. We're going to go to the beach and just relax. That kind of thing is, well, we know that weather does alter your emotional state. In this study, they hypothesized that lower barometric pressure will increase stress, thus have higher levels of reported pain. How was the test performed? Basically, the patients they picked were reported their pain and emotional state for over 30 days. They did it 3 times a day at 9 in the morning, noon, and 9 at night. Sorry, I put that in military time there. Answer questions like, how is your pain level? How tense are you now? And how anxious are you now? And they answered, those are just a few of the questions, but they answered on a 0 to 10 scale on their phone. And then they were able to give some type of verbal confirmation, or say add anything in there. Basically there were 48 patients, 45 of them were female. The average age was 48.6 years old, and some of the criteria that kept people out of it were if you had any type of psychiatric conditions defined as like bipolar, severe depression, schizophrenia. You had any other neurological problems, like you had developmental disorder, you're pregnant, prior drug use, that kind of thing. From a meteorological side, they picked patients that have a proximity of 60 kilometers of the Norwegian Meteorological Institute at Tromsø. I think that's how you say it. Everyone should have the same. The reason was everybody should have the same relative weather pattern. They did obs every hour up to the time that the people were to call in. So they would do the obs about 5 minutes before the hour. Then everybody was supposed to do their thing and call in. If they didn't call in within 15 minutes, they were given a text to remind them. If they didn't do it then if they hadn't done within an hour or so, they basically just let go of what they were talking about. So they weren't allowed to be answering questions. And this was basically to do is to keep everybody within the same pattern. If we didn't have the same pattern, if I had someone in Iowa and someone in Florida and someone in Alaska, we're all experiencing 3 different weather patterns. It's not, you're going to have, and then you're going to have a different mathematical makeup if you're trying to fix this. And the results, the barometric pressure and relative humidity had the most significant impact on the individual. Barometric had the high increase in pain with decrease in pressure. So when the barometric pressure lowered, people felt more pain, or at least reported more pain. And relative humidity was the higher it got, the higher the pain level went. So when you had a combination of a high relative humidity and a low barometric pressure, there was even the most significant reported changes in the people's perception of their pain. And temperature combined with barometric pressure together had the most significant increase in pain intensity. The reason they felt like this had the highest was that temperature, with that barometric pressure lowering, temperature going down with low temperature or low barometric pressure going down, that people felt like they got that high anxiety, more anxious, more worried about, or do they have everything that they need and what their activities are going to be done for that day. That's where they felt that. And so then that caused a pain intensity in the patient reported to be a more stressful day, and it's not necessarily stress. Then it was they had to go and get these people, find out that their stress levels were different if they had daily life stresses, being mostly 48 years old, 45 of them female. I've been married for 21 years. My wife is 45 years old. I know the stresses that she goes through every day trying to deal with 4 kids. That would make sure that you would definitely have a higher stress level, and it would give you a different perception of pain. Limitations on this was lack of time. I think doing over 30 days was just not enough time to get as much of what you have the difference in the seasons. I mean, did you do this during just the winter? Did you do this during just the summer, the spring, the fall, or in the spring, the fall, when you have the highest variations of temperature, barometric pressure, and humidity in like a week to a day? And then like I said, lack of changes in weather, and then the lack of diversity was this, not as many males, and also was that being in Norway, majority of that population is going to be, of Nordic descent and white, blonde hair, blue eyes. Okay, well, was there a difference in that? Compare if you would do this in the United States or in, Italy, Africa, Australia, those kind of things. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a great day.